Hi, I'd like to share some initial insights with you from the Harmonic Vibrancy Survey. What is the survey? What were we looking for in the survey? How did we design it? What do we have so far and what are we finding? That's what I want to cover today. Basically, what we started to discover was that there were groups. If you remember in an earlier conversation, we found that groups if you'll remember, we found that there were certain groups that were having experiences of much higher levels of harmonic vibrancy and getting much better outcomes. And we drew it like this. And we said if this is the normal distribution, what we were finding in our experiences of meeting some of these high vibrancy groups is that there were groups that were getting outcomes over here. So basically, the outcomes high, low, and this is the average, but this from statistics if you remember. That's the average, and this is plus or minus, so this is the number of people or groups that are experiencing it. Most are within this realm right here. Some have worse outcomes, slightly lower outcomes than average, some have better, and we were finding these groups that were off the charts. And the experience that people were having, how harmonic it was, the vibrancy they experienced, the outcomes that they achieved, the efficiency, their effectiveness, their innovation. And they were doing this on a sustainable basis. So we wanted to try to understand what it is that they're learning. We decided that one of the first things we wanted to do was see how we could find them. If you remember what we were describing in the three circles, where we had self, other, group, nature, and spirit, we started to find that there were groups that seemed to be in this circle of experience, or this circle of experience, or this circle of experience. What we wanted to do was test that in a broader audience across a lot of different groups. So what we did was design a survey. The 57 item survey, 57 questions that we've gotten it down to, has been now applied, or people have responded to this survey in 1,400 times. So we have over 1,400 results from 40 different countries and in 12 different languages. You can access this online at the Institute for Strategic Clarity on the page that says Take the Survey. Just click here where it says Take the Survey, and you have a choice of languages within which you can take it. What have we started to see so far from this survey, which is asking these 57 items around leadership quality? What is the quality of the leadership that's leading this experience, and helping determine, design, and lead or guide the experience that the group is having in their agreements. The quality of leadership. What is the quality of leadership that people are experiencing in their groups that guide the agreements that we have? The second is, what is the group well-being? What are the group's outcomes? And then it asks a series of questions around these 5 relationships: self, other, group, nature, and spirit. You can take that survey again online. So far we have these 1,400 responses to the survey, and what are we starting to find? We're finding, in fact, that people when they describe a low level of experience, meaning closer to the origin or to this spot, on any one of these 5 relationships, they tend to describe a very similar experience on the other 4 relationships. One way of starting to think about or draw that is trying to draw the multiple dimensions. Now this is a little difficult to do because we can't draw 5 dimensions, so here's an invitation to you. If you have a better way of depicting this, or of showing this story with these multiple dimensions, then please let me know. But so far, if we start with the first three relationships, or the three relationships of self, other, and group, what are we finding? If I map on here the data, we're finding, and try to imagine these three dimensions like we were holding X, Y, Z, or self, other, group. So we're going in that direction, and that direction, and that direction at the same time. So when we look at the data, what are we starting to see? If these data points, or these dots, are the responses from the surveys, where we're taking all of the questions we've asked about self, other, group, nature, spirit, leadership, quality, and group outcomes, and we average or summarize or synthesize the data for each of these dimensions or relationships, we start to find the following. We're finding these are all, each one of these dots is the compilation of the results. So for example, this dot, let's say this one right here, is the average of, or the score of the self of all those questions, and other out in that dimension, and group on all of the different dimensions. This is their score. So about this high on self, about that high on other, and about that high on group, which corresponds to being right about in here. So we see that point represents their scores on all of these dimensions. And what all of these dots start to show us is that two things that we want to take out of this quickly. One is that there's a continuum, that people report from very low on self, or other, or group, or nature, or spirit, to very high levels of vibrancy experienced. So that's one thing that we want to see. There is a continuum from very low to very high. And two, there's a consistency. When people report a low level on self, it's related to a low level on group and a low level on other, or medium or high on any one of these three relationships. Another way of thinking about that is what we're not seeing. There are no dots so far up in here, here, or here, which is what we would expect. If you can have a weak relationship to self, or a weak relationship to the other, but a really strong relationship to the group, then you could be low on self and low on other in here, but really high on group. And we don't find any examples of people responding that that's their experience. Or that there's high on self and low on other and group, or that they're high on fairness and other and low on self and group. So there's a consistency on the levels that they experience. Now again, to finish this up, what we're trying to do with showing the data this way is to try to experience what's happening here. And what we have found through this data, with the 1,400 responses, is a consistency that people say, I either experience, when I experience low on any of these relationships, I experience it on all of them. And likewise, if it's a middle level or a high level, there's a consistency to the experience that I have. Please take the survey online. It contributes to our research, and it gives you automatic feedback on where your experience is in your group for free. Thank you.